for you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the third and final episode of the context for my FMP. So in this episode, we're going to be going through the high standard analysis of sort of not only the context of the whole project really. So this sort of summarizes all of the context of, and basically says everything that I'm going to need. And obviously I've covered loads in the previous episodes, but this sort of puts the cherry on top of the ice cream and finishes everything off which I need to know and you guys need to know for the context. So yes, just like the others, there's going to be 4 different subsections of this, and yeah, you know the gist of it. So let's get straight into it. So the first subsection is going to be the sort of thoroughness, and this is sort of like every single aspect, both broad and specific. So literally sort of everything. So obviously context is sort of the first thing. Well, technically the first thing was the what was it called? The proof of concept / proposal. So that is something that I had to present to my teachers, the idea of the FMP, what I'm going to need, and basically so they could see what exactly I'm going to do so they can help me throughout and to see if it was you could do it for an FMP and I could get the best grade possible from it. And then obviously we got the context, which are these podcast episodes right now. We got 3 episodes, is the final one, as I said earlier. And then also from context, I'm doing a case study on 2 different albums, Goodbye and Good Riddance by Juice WRLD and the Question Mark album, the Sad album by XXXTentacion. So that's sort of the context done. Research is split into 2, primary and secondary research. So primary research is, if you didn't know, research you obtain by yourself, not from a source, you get it yourself. So for this, I did a survey, which I released to my classmates and some close family too, so they could fill in, so I could sort of get the necessary information I need to fill out and sort of create the best album possible from it. And yeah, I got some good results and I know what I need to do. Also, other primary research is I did I did an interview of these questions from the survey with one of my classmates. So it's sort of a face-to-face thing and I can get a proper, instead of just a little result, a little answer on the survey, I can get a proper result in person, full sentence answer. So that really helped too. So that's the primary research. Secondary research is split into minimum 8 different sources. This could literally be anything to help me out. You could get them from articles on the internet, magazines, even going to libraries, museums, plays. So far I've used articles on the internet, it's newspaper articles, magazine articles, Wikipedia, things like that. And I've looked up different sort of research, the history of my genre, so the history of trap, certain artists such as Juice WRLD, mixing genres too from YouTube, how-tos on YouTube, tutorials, things like that. But yeah, there's got to be 8 different secondary research sources, or even more if I can get more. And then also I need to look into different artists and their different albums to research into them different albums. And just sort of any sort of inspiration I have, I need to research into them. So then I can see how they've done it and try and work off of how they've done it. So I can sort of be similar to them. After research is sort of pre-production and planning. Now the main sort of pre-production is the pre-production forms. So this includes studio booking. So I write down when I want the studio, when I need it for to do my practical, which I'll explain in a minute. The risk assessment for the studio, just in case anything does go wrong, I know what to do. Obviously, it needs to be done with everything. Even if I did live events, things like that, you always need a risk assessment. Track information, so basically information of all the tracks, what genre they are, BPM, what they're about, the names of them, all things like that. So obviously anyone who listens to them knows what I was going for in a way. And then last but not least, the sample, like the sample form. So if I used any samples, I put them on there, so it sort of, I don't get copyrighted, basically saying like I've used this sampled and this is how I've sort of variated it, so I haven't basically copied it. And then going into planning, I'm gonna have things like a mood board, a mind map, like signal flows, hardware function lists, basically all things so I know actually how to use the equipment, and instead of just wasting time like trying to figure out what I'm gonna do, I'll have it all there and I know exactly what to do. This is a project which you need to be good at time management, so this can all help me with that stuff as well. Practical, as you know, is an album, a 7 or 8 track album. So I'm going to be on Logic, like it's got to be done on Logic and then released via DistroKid into all the relevant streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music. I've explained all this in the previous episodes, but yeah, the practical is pretty self-explanatory. But for the practical as well, I'm going to have a demo, a clean version if there's swearing in any of the songs, and yeah, just sort of things I can show my classmates and people first before I release it to make sure everything's okay with it before I release it to the world. And then evaluation, and the evaluation sort of completes off the whole thing, really. So you're writing in there, things went well, things that didn't go well, what would I change for next time? Basically just summarising the whole project into one big essay. There are little things in between, such as problem solving, which is ongoing. You write down any problems you encountered and how you solve them. Ongoing blog posts, like every day or every week, I do mine for every day, like what you've done on that day, how has it helped you in your FMP. But yeah, like the better, and like presentation as well, the better presentation you do, the better grade you're going to get. If it's easy to read, if it's nicely presented, if all your things are up to date, then you're guaranteed a good grade. But yeah, that was a lot. But that's sort of the thoroughness all rounded off in a nutshell. Well, not really a nutshell, because I explained quite a lot. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole thoroughness section. Okay, so the next section is called clarity. Now, this is sort of identifying the needs and the boundaries of the project. I'm pretty sure I've gone through most of these in previous episodes, but sort of needs and boundaries, like boundaries in a way is like things that you've got to be careful of just in case you won't be able to do, as in like things you don't have access to. I don't really have that sort of issue as equipment wise is the main thing, but I've literally got all the equipment at home. Like I've got the podcast set up at home, which I'm doing from home right now. I've got the DAW at home. I've got all the MIDIs at home. I've got like a mic at home. Like I've literally got basically everything at home to record. But like if I wanted it like mixed and that by a sound engineer, I would go to an external studio. Yeah, and then when I am in college, I can use that time wisely in the studio. As written work, I can do at home very easily. But the needs of the project, like the whole thing is sort of a big need. Like you can't really complete the project without a certain thing. Like if one thing isn't completed in the project, then it's gonna make a difference. It's like a domino effect. It's gonna make a big difference for the whole thing. But yeah, overall the needs and the boundaries, like I've explained them in previous episodes, but there's not really much boundaries I do have, to be honest, because I'm quite lucky as I have all this equipment and basically everything I need at the click of my finger. And the needs, there's not really certain needs. Like the whole thing is a big need because, as I said, you don't complete one part, or if one part isn't as satisfactory as the other, then that could affect your grade. Yeah. So the next section is evidence. So this is like, can I back up my analysis with examples and reasoning and stuff? So for example, when I do research, especially secondary research, I can't just say when I'm doing say for example, I'm doing research about Juice WRLD or Dr. Dre. I'll say Dr. Dre. Say Dr. Dre, I'm writing about how like he went from nothing and turned into like big DJ, which is not DJ. He went from literally nothing turning into a big record producer. Like if I just put that, then I'm getting a fail. I need to back it up with evidence. So for example, write his whole story. Like when he was young, at 17 years old, he was a DJ, and he worked his way up. He produced an album. That album got big. He opened up his first record label, and then from there he just kept getting bigger. And then he opened up another record label, started working with small artists. At the time, it was like Eminem and Eazy-E and people like that, 50 Cent. And then obviously they got big. People knew they got big from him. So then he got bigger. And like, I can't just explain it all in one sentence, as you sort of need to back up. Anything you do, you need to back it up, because otherwise, if you don't, then like the people are just going to think like, well, he doesn't really know much because he's not backing it up. Like that will also affect your grade if you don't back it up. So overall, everything I'm going to have will be backed up with evidence, as I sort of know my stuff when it comes to what I'm researching. That's sort of why it's my speciality, what I'm choosing, like the genre I'm choosing and what like subjects I'm choosing. So yeah, overall, I'm going to be using evidence based in literally every single thing, every single topic I do. And the final subtopic is consideration of alternative approaches. So this could be like, could the project be approached differently with the constraints? So this kind of links in a lot with problem solving, as like if anything went wrong or if I had to change suddenly, how would I do it? So obviously the main constraint is time. Obviously 22nd of May this is due, and the date today is what, the 6th of April. Sounds like a lot of time. It really isn't. The days I'm in college, I'm only in 4 days a week. It's Easter term now. Like, all in all, I don't have that much time left. But like, personally, I don't think anything's going to go wrong. Obviously, I'm going to have a few little problems, but I can easily solve them, hopefully. Or I think I can. But like, how I would approach it differently, it could be sort of linked into many things. Like, say if all of a sudden like I decided, oh, you know what, I don't want to do an album anymore. Like, I wouldn't. But then I would probably move into my next sort of speciality. Or instead of saying I don't want to do it, say like all of the DAWs shut down and for some reason I can no longer make an album. That would happen. But I would like, so my next sort of speciality is like events management, like live events and things. Like, I would host an event, see how everything went. I'd have to change it to all of my research and that. But like, it's just something you have to, like, if it's a problem, then you're going to have to solve it. Like, if you want a good grade at the end of all of this, then this is what you're going to have to do. Like, if anything went wrong like that, which it probably never would, but this is why you have to do your research just in case it did. But like, all of the different constraints, like even like the studio things are constrained. But as I said earlier, all the equipment's at home. Like, I wouldn't say I've got everything handed to me on a silver platter, but I've pretty much done my research and I've sort of know every problem which I could encounter, and I do have a way to solve it, which at the end of the day is the best thing, because otherwise if I didn't know how to solve it, then I'll be stuck and that wastes time. And obviously from the time wasting, it wouldn't be good. But yeah, that's sort of the whole consideration thing. So yeah, that's sort of the context of the FMP. This marks the end of the third and final episode. I hope you have enjoyed this little session. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to speak to you guys again in the future. But for now, goodbye.